Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well and safe. In this video, I'm going to talk about the relationship between commercial negotiations and business contracts in global supply chains. I will analyze the process in which we usually write a contract and execute that contract in the global business, and I will analyze the details of that and how we usually draft the contract and what is the general idea. Maybe in next videos, we'll be able to talk about more details. So the first point is that we usually start the negotiation and enter into the negotiation. But what is the main goal and what is the ultimate outcome of a negotiation if it is successful? We usually reach to a contract. And the point is that sometimes we need other documents like MOM, minutes of meetings, minutes of discussions, memorandum of understanding, letter of intent, or some other documents before the contract. But the ultimate goal is to reach to a contract and draft a contract. Why do we write a contract? Although to have a contract, it is not essential to write it, because we have implied contracts and we have unwritten contracts. But in business, I, of course, suggest that write down your contracts and try to sign it by the authorized officers of all parties. I do not say both parties because in some contracts, we have more than two parties. So we negotiate a contract, write it down, and sign it. Then what? Why do we put a lot of effort in writing a contract, negotiating a contract? So what? What are we going to do? We write a contract to do it. We write a contract to implement it and to execute it. The fact or the concept that we are going to do or to execute is a kind of business relationship. And whenever we are entering into a business relationship, we need some rules and we need some regulations. The point is that we have over 200 types of business relationships in global supply chains. It can be as easy as selling or purchasing something, appointing a distributor, appointing an agent, build, operate, own, transfer, and many other types of contracts. Let's say franchise, which is usual and popular nowadays. But the point is that in order to have a good contract and a right contract, we need to select the type of contract at first. What type of contract defines our relationship and covers our relationship? I usually ask my friends and my students, when do you read the contract? When do you actually and really read the contract? We usually read the contract 2 times. The first time is when we sign it, and the second time is when we encounter a conflict. And the point is that, unfortunately, we usually read it more carefully for the second time because we have encountered the conflict and we are looking how we can solve the conflict or the dispute. So we have to be careful and we have to write a good contract. So at first, we need to define the contract which covers our business relationship. What is it? Is it agency or distributorship? Is it licensing or franchise? Is it lease or sales? We need to decide based on the relationship that we are going to make the right type of contract. Then we have to think about the articles which we need in each contract. Let's say we have decided that the right contract for our relationship is a sales contract. That's okay, but what type of articles do we need? Let's imagine that we are going to purchase a brake pad or an automobile or an assembly line for automobile. Do we need the same articles for these 3 products in the same contract, which is a sales contract? Of course not. In order to decide about the right articles, At first, we have to define and we have to analyze the aspects of our relationship. What are the aspects of a global business relationships? We usually have 4 aspects: technical, commercial, financial, and legal. By technical, I mean some issues like product specifications, packaging, which are usually defined by technicians. If you are going to purchase rice, you have to define the specifications of the rice. It can be based on a standard or blueprints, or it can be defined based on a given specification. The second aspect is commercial aspect. By commercial aspect, I mean some issues like transportation and logistics, some issues like shipment documents, inspection, insurance. We have all these in our contracts. Then we have financial aspect, which covers important points. These 2 points are price and terms of payment. They are really different, and we have to write them in different articles. In price, we talk about the amount, we talk about the currency and something like that. And in terms of payment, we usually talk about time of payment, instrument of payment, and other details. And finally, we have the legal aspects. Let's say what happens if one party encounters with force majeure cases. What happens if we have a conflict? How should we resolve our conflicts and disputes? What happens if a party, let's say the seller, delivers the product with delay? So we might have liquidated damages for delayed delivery. So we have legal aspects. And a good contract covers all aspects, and we need different articles for each aspect. The other point is that in a contract for sales or purchase, we usually have 4 flows or 4 transfers. These are flow of information, flow of goods, funds, and shipment documents. We have to define how we should transfer information between ourselves. How should the goods be transported? And the flow of fund or money, how should it be done, which is related to financial aspect. And finally, we have shipment documents, which might be in paper or electronic. So we have to define shipment documents. Therefore, in a sales and purchase contract, we have to plan for 4 transfers or flows. And we have different articles for each type of flow. So in this slide, you can see that we have 4 aspects: technical, commercial, financial, and legal. And we have 4 transfers or flows, which are information, goods, funds, and shipment documents. As you see in this chart, we have the blue flow for flow of information. You see that buyer sends a purchase order and the seller sends invoice. Then we have a flow of fund, which is in green line. The buyer pays the money to the seller, although it starts after flow of information. It's based on one assumption, and the assumption is that the payment method is payment in advance. Then we have flow of goods, which is in golden color here, and you see that the seller delivers the product to a transportation company, clears the product, and then international transportation happens. After starting the transportation of the goods, we have the flow of documents. The 3PL company or freight forwarder issues a bill of lading. Then we add some other documents like certificate of origin and other documents. The seller completes the documents by adding commercial invoice and packing list or some other documents. And finally mails the documents to the buyer because he or she has received the money. The buyer completes the documents, and when the goods are delivered to customs, the buyer delivers the documents to customs electronically or in paper in some countries, and then completes the customs formalities and clears the goods from customs. So we have a process, And it is the easiest process which I imagine, based on some assumptions like 100% advance payment and as easy as possible. In real case, it is not the same as this, at least in some situations. But you see that we have flow of information, funds, goods, and documents. So a good contract covers all these details. So if you want to have the right contract, at first you have to think about the relationship that you are going to make. Then you have to decide about the type of contract and the articles, and after that you might start your negotiation. But before starting your negotiation, you have to become prepared for the negotiation. It's not easy. You cannot just take your suitcase and say that, okay, I'm going to the negotiation meeting. You have to become prepared. You have to build a team for negotiation, because no one person or individual person can claim that I can cover all the aspects of a business relationship. You need a team. This team must gather information which are required for the meeting. We have to plan the trip, or nowadays, because of COVID-19, we might have to plan for an online meeting. So we need an agenda in which we usually write who are going to attend the meeting and what are they going to talk about. So we need preparation to have a better and effective negotiation meeting. This is a framework for international sales contract, and I will talk about it in detail in next videos. But as you see here, we have some general articles like parties, notices, and something like that. We have legal articles like governing law, subject of the contract, financial articles, price, currency, and other issues, commercial articles, terms, dates, shipment documents, and some other points. Then we have technical, like definitions, product, packaging, and some other points. And the point is that we have an importer and exporter, and we usually have, as I said, 4 types of flows: flow of information, money, goods or services, and documents, which occur during time. Therefore, it is a process. And the professional negotiation tries to plan for all the details. So the whole process is here. You are going to a negotiation meeting, or you are going to start a business correspondence, and then you might reach to a contract, and after writing a contract, you will execute it. The concept that you are going to do is a business relationship. Contract is the rules of the relationship, and in negotiation, we have to think about how to negotiate, what to negotiate, when to negotiate, where to negotiate, and many other questions, which I will explain you in next videos about details of all aspects. And finally, if we want to have a professional negotiation, we need to become prepared. So this was the relationship. These 4 concepts: negotiation, contract, and execution. Therefore, you need a plan to become prepared and to make a professional negotiation. So if you are going to have a professional negotiation, you have to think about different details and try your best to achieve as much as possible with a collaborative mind. Negotiation is not just about winning. Negotiation is about giving something and getting something. So you have to be clever, and I cannot say you always negotiate with professional people, with those who have a win-win attitude. You have to be clever enough to protect your benefits and to achieve as much as possible while making your partner satisfied with the conclusion and with the negotiation meeting and the outcomes. Have a great time. Thank you and goodbye.